Car crash cases, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis, Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts. The attorneys with Josh Wright from the law firm of Hollis, Wright, and host David Lamb.
Good evening and welcome into the attorneys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Got a really good topic of conversation tonight that we believe is going to be of interest to you. A couple of ground rules throughout the program. Attorneys from Hollis, Wright, standing by live to speak with you. That's a free, confidential, off-air conversation. All you have to do is pick up the phone and give them a call about this subject matter or whatever else you may think of tonight. Also, at the bottom of your screen, ways you can get in touch with us. We'd love to get your questions. Always better when you are involved. Leading our conversation, he's the managing partner of Hollis, Wright, Josh Wright. Good to see you, sir.
You too. Hope you're doing well.
I am, thank you.
You know, David, when we talk about issues of Social Security and disability, it's super important in this area, and here's why. There are a lot of people in Alabama that have some form of Social Security disability. And when we talk about this topic, it's one of those topics we're not experts in, and we bring experts on, and we have done different spins on the show. Alex Hirschfield, who actually clerked at our firm a long time ago, is now out with an established practice, handling it on his own and doing this type of work, and is truly an expert in this area of the law. And so when we have this topic come up and we decide we're going to talk about it to help the viewing audience, we bring guys like Alex on. So first of all, thank you for being on, my good friend.
Hey, Josh, thank you so much. Great to be here. Great to be on the show again. I'm glad to be here to tell everybody what I believe I know about this process and handling these claims and how important they are to people to make sure they're doing the right thing.
This area of the law is a popular area of the law. It's a specialty, but it's definitely a popular area of the law because there are a lot of changes on a yearly basis on what's going on in this area, aren't there?
Yes, there are. There are a lot of changes that people don't realize, and it's important to understand what those changes are so that you make sure that doesn't adversely affect you and your ability to handle your claims and get the benefits that you deserve.
So Alex, I get this question a lot on the show, and that is, I started the Social Security disability process. I tried to do it on my own. I was unsuccessful. Do you think it's time to go get a lawyer? What's your advice on that issue? Because I know you've got to hear that a lot from people that they tried to do it on their own, they were unsuccessful, and now they're coming to you. What's your advice on getting a lawyer involved early?
So whenever you're denied benefits for disability, you probably need to go get a lawyer at that time because you have a very short window of time to act and make sure you appeal the decision that came in that was probably denying you benefits, and it's actually 60 days from the date on the document that you received to file an appeal. So you need to call a lawyer as soon as possible and make sure that you can get someone who can help you and file that appeal and start moving forward with the claim.
You know, and some of these claims, David, can impact people as much as $15,000 to $20,000 a year, so it can have a significant impact on your ability to live. Right. And there are a lot of different types, and that was one of the things I was going to ask Alex, is there are a lot of different types of Social Security, at least two different types of Social Security. What are they? Let's kind of work our way through those.
So there are two types of benefits. One of them is called Social Security Disability. It's based off of insured status, quarters that people have worked and they qualify for those benefits through the work they've done. The other set of benefits is not based on credits or in quarters that you've accrued. It's called Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, as a lot of people refer to it as. But there are certain limitations and restrictions on being eligible for those benefits as well.
Well, what does it mean to be disabled under Social Security rules?
So when you are disabled under the Social Security rules, you're supposed to have a condition that's expected to last 12 months or longer that would keep you from working, or a condition that's likely to end in death. So, and that's what Social Security looks at to make sure that you qualify.
So how is it determined? Like, what is there an agency? Are there administrative law judges? I mean, who determines whether or not somebody qualifies in the first place?
So you file an initial application, and the Social Security Administration, through Disability Determination Service, normally makes that initial determination. If you get denied benefits, you have the right to file an appeal. You appeal it, It's appealed to an administrative law judge who's supposed to impartially review your case and make a decision independent of the original decision that was made.
All right, so let's do this. Walk me through, someone comes in your office and says, look, I think I've been disabled related to the following issue in my life. How does the process kind of from start to finish work? Because it can be a long process, can it not?
Absolutely. I mean, it could take years. So normally when someone comes into my office or contacts me and says, you know, they have a claim or they want to file a claim or whatever their case may be, normally it's they filed a claim and have been denied and want to file an appeal. I ask them, when was that denial? Need to find that out as soon as possible, because if you don't appeal it timely, again, you might end up having to start over. So I ask them about that. I say, please provide me a copy of that notice for denial of benefits. And then so I can quickly get them in, go over some paperwork, get their representation forms going, and then file that appeal and start moving forward through the Social Security process.
When we come back, I want to talk about the factors that the Social Security Department looks at to determine whether or not somebody's going to qualify or not qualify. And if they do qualify, whether they can, for example, get back benefits for those things that maybe during the time that they've been waiting through the process, can they get back benefits from when they initially filed? Well, let's talk about that when we come back.
That sounds good. We're stepping aside our first break of the evening. A reminder as we head to break, here's how you can get in touch with us. Would love to hear from you. Also, Hollis Wright all over social media, Facebook, Twitter, as well as the Instagram. Just search Hollis Wright and you'll find them there. Stay tuned. More of the attorneys coming right up.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright, a personal injury law firm. Thank you for watching The Attorneys. Now, we hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple. Provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free, so if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury-related topics, you can call, email, or text us. Or you can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or simply contact us by going to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us link. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us watching The Attorneys.
Real dollars there. Welcome back in to The Attorneys, talking about Social Security tonight. Would love to have you be a part of our conversation. Also, attorneys from Hollis Wright standing by about 20 minutes or so. They're going to be standing by to speak with you, so take advantage of that free, confidential, and off-air call.
And we do actually answer all those calls, texts, and
how about
emails.
that?
And we get tweets. I think that's what it's called, tweets.
It
and we
works,
get Facebook
yeah.
posts, and we answer that stuff as best we can. Sometimes the volume's super heavy, so we try and get to everything we can on Sunday night. If not, you're going to get a response on Monday. It's just the way we work.
You guys are a very interactive firm, and that's something
Yeah.
that folks appreciate.
There's no question. I think the law, and Alex will tell you, the law has become interactive. I mean, the way that we do filings today compared to the way we used to do filings are totally different. People don't actually walk to a courthouse very often anymore and file documents. They don't necessarily have hearings that aren't now through the telephone or through some video conferencing. We take depositions that way. So we've had to kind of evolve, and I know Alex's practices evolved too, and we've tried to do that as best we can with society. We're going to keep it rolling.
I think you're doing a good job of it.
All right, talk to us. You talked a little bit about the process in the last segment. Let's talk generally about what are they looking for and how are they determining whether you qualify? Because I know that there are people, Alex, right now on the couch watching this show saying, I don't want to go through that process. It could be long, could be tedious. I don't know if I'll even qualify. Talk to that person. How do you go through the process and determine whether somebody's going to qualify or not?
So some of the first things I'd like to know when I'm speaking to someone about their eligibility is, first of all, are they working?
Yeah.
And if they're not working, why? And then if they're not working because of some major medical impairment, then is that because it's keeping them from being able to do what they would normally do as far as work is concerned? And so if they can't do that, then they might be eligible for disability benefits, whether it's Social Security disability or supplemental security income. But sometimes you just really don't know until you file an application. So if you don't believe you're going to be able to return to work anytime soon, I would say that's the time probably to go ahead and file because of the medical condition that's keeping you from being able to work.
And I think this is important too. Let's assume somebody goes, they retain you, they file their case, and it goes 11 months, and in month 11 they become eligible, hypothetically. Do they get the benefit of that 11 months of lost income, of that disability, from when they filed until when they were approved? Do they get back benefits, so to speak?
Generally speaking, yes. However, under supplemental security income, it's normally from the date of application. In contrast to Social Security disability, you would have a 5-month waiting period from the date of application, from the date of onset. That would probably not count those specific benefits, but after that waiting period, you would qualify for those back benefits.
So that's important, and we can't unwrap this enough. For those people that are sitting on the couch right now saying, I just don't know if I want to go through that process, the reality is, if you are ultimately accepted in that process, you're likely going to get benefits from the time you started it. So don't delay. Go talk with a lawyer. Go walk through the process with someone like Alex that may be able to help you get benefits that you rightly deserve.
As is often the case, time is of essence. A question we've got here about when is the best time to apply for disability? When should I actually apply for disability?
And really the answer is that is as soon as possible, especially if you're out of work and especially if you don't anticipate going back to work anytime soon because of your condition.
Okay, and a quick follow-up, what evidence is needed to prove that I'm disabled?
So the evidence that's generally required is medical evidence to show that's documented by your doctor or healthcare professional that you have a condition that keeps you from being able to do work or has limitations on certain activities that you would normally otherwise do, and that has to be submitted to the Social Security Administration for them to consider whether you have a impairment that would qualify.
And when you say evidence, what are you talking about there?
Evidence or medical records, basically. Okay. You go to your doctor, the doctor fills out a note or a record and documents your condition based on their examination of you.
And so are you oftentimes submitting a package, or do you actually have a trial with an administrative law judge? How does that work?
So they call it a hearing, actually, and you do submit medical records through their medical evidence record submission, and you provide that information through those records to the judge for the judge to review for the hearing that you would have.
Can it be any doctor, like a treating physician, or do you have to go to a specific Social Security doctor that looks at it? How does that work?
The answer to that is probably all the above.
Okay.
Because Social Security has their version of their doctors that they might want you to see, and then you also have your doctors, so they want to consider everything. They want to look at all evidence as much as possible so that they can see everything that you have available to help them figure out what your condition is.
Now, and these benefits that people receive, they can be significant, can they not?
Absolutely. I mean, it's life-changing. I mean, as far as the type of money that you might receive, depending upon the type of benefits you apply for, I mean, it could be hundreds to thousands of dollars a month that you might get.
And you talked a little bit earlier about the two different types of disability. One form of disability that is often applied for is impacted by money you've paid into the system. Is that fair?
That's correct.
And so when you are paying a certain amount of taxes, are you paying some of that money in to Social Security to protect yourself for that rainy day when you need it if you've been disabled?
Correct, and that's what is called insured status.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people look at this from the outside and they say, well, these benefits are just for people that are trying to get some form of a handout, and that's not the case, generally not the case at all. We're all paying into a system to protect us in circumstances where we've been disabled, and that system does matter.
Right. Let's step aside.
Yeah.
Okay. Our final break of the evening. A lot of ground left to cover, Josh and Alex. We'll step aside. This is our final break of the evening. A couple of reminders. If you want to take advantage of that opportunity to speak with attorneys from Hollis Wright, standing by live, you got a few minutes to do so. Stay tuned. The final segment of the attorneys coming right up.
I'm attorney Tyler Vail with the law firm of Hollis Wright. Many people ask the same question: why should I hire a lawyer? While there may be some legal situations that do not require you to hire a lawyer, the clear majority of legal problems would certainly benefit from having competent counsel involved. To begin with, the law is complicated. Even experienced lawyers typically do not represent themselves in court. A solid case with clear liability can quickly unravel without the help of a trained attorney. Lawyers understand the rules of evidence and know how to properly lay a foundation to get critical evidence and testimony admitted into court. Lawyers are trained to recognize legal problems early on in a case and can help avoid pitfalls that unrepresented individuals may fall into. Lawyers can also increase the value of a case by getting experts involved to help prove additional damages that an unrepresented person may not realize they are entitled to. An experienced lawyer has probably worked on cases like yours and can give insight to negotiating a fair settlement based on recent jury verdicts and settlements that unrepresented individuals may not have access to. Another important reason to hire an attorney is because the person or business you sue will likely have legal representation themselves. Non-attorneys are generally at a disadvantage when squaring off against opposing counsel or doing business with another party that has legal counsel. The law is complicated, and an attorney who is representing your adversary may try to take advantage of you. Our law firm offers free case consultations that allow you to meet with us for free during a face-to-face meeting, where we can discuss the type of case you have, the potential value of your case, and your likelihood of success. This initial meeting can help you decide whether you need to hire a lawyer. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. Remember, a competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you. Thanks for watching The Attorneys on WVTM 13.
Welcome back into The Attorneys, talking all about Social Security and disability. Really appreciate you being with us tonight. About 10 minutes remaining in our show, so 10 minutes remaining for you to get in touch with the attorneys from Hollis Wright who are standing by live. Again, that free, confidential, all-fair conversation. All you have to do is pick up the phone and give them a call. Back into our conversation, a question we've got here. If approved for disability, how long do you have to wait before the benefits actually begin?
So that's a good question, and I wish there was a specific answer to that, but unfortunately it's a couple of months, and it could take 2 or 3 or 4 months depending upon how long it takes for them to process your other information, because there's also technical related requirements as well that they look at. And a follow-up here, after an approval, will Social Security review the case again, and how long will those benefits will continue? Almost certainly if you're a younger individual, and those are people from ages 18 to 44, and Social Security will come back and look at your condition to see if it's improved within 2 to 3 years or less or more, but that's the average time frame that Social Security will normally review the case again and see if your condition is improved and you can go back to work. In order to get benefits, do you have to show permanency? In order to get benefits, you have to show the condition is expected to last 12 months or longer to keep you from going back to work. And what happens if I'm 3 years in, I've been receiving my benefits, and all of a sudden, you know, I feel capable of working, or
there's a job that opens up for me that I can do. How does that work? How do you manage that with Social Security?
So the good news is you can go and try and attempt to go back to work even while you're drawing your check, and they have what's called a trial work period. You've got 9 months to give it a shot, and they don't have to be consecutive months. You could go to work for 3 months and then decide that this isn't for you, and then you kind of take a break again and go back and do another 4 or 5 months. But if it adds up to 9 months, that's all you'll get before it would interrupt your benefits. But at least you have a chance of trying to see if you could go back to work.
Can you receive other forms of income during the time that you're receiving disability to a certain level? Like, can you receive $500 a month if it's through some other means, or do you generally have to report that to Social Security?
The best answer to that is it depends. If you're on supplemental security income, any income that you receive whatsoever while you're on that can adversely affect that.
Okay.
On the other hand, with Social Security disability, you potentially can receive other income as long as it does not exceed what they call SGA, which is roughly, I believe now, about $11.80 a month.
Okay. And so what happens when I'm receiving disability, okay, and I reach retirement age? Does that disability stop? Does it transfer over in the form of Social Security retirement? How does that work?
So once you do hit retirement age, if you're on disability, it rolls over to Social Security retirement, basically.
Okay. So there are so many rules out there that, like, having someone like Alex around is important, because we get these questions all the time that seem so simple, and he answers them so simple, but it's like, we'll get a question, hey, I'm on Social Security disability, and I just had a lawsuit settled. I was involved in an accident, and I'm going to receive this money. Will it impact my benefits? And I got to call guys like Alex to be able to say, all right, hold on, and then he'll say, well, all right, what type of SS is it? And we get that answer, and then we're able to give it back to him. But it's a good example of how we work the networks to try and figure out what information is accurate information to provide it back to the person that has questions outside of the skill set of what we do.
I'm curious, but because there is so much here and so many technicalities and timeliness and records and all of that, what are the most common mistakes or errors that you see clients or maybe potential clients make that affect their case negatively?
So the things that affect them negatively are trying to go back to work and working, excessively each week when they know good and well they probably shouldn't be doing that because they're not capable. But I understand you have to do what you have to do, but at the same time, working over that SGA level, which Social Security will not just look at monthly, but they might look at weekly, and the amount of hours that add up each week to see what kind of jobs or activities or things that you're doing while your case is pending, and that information will come before the judge, and the judge might ask, why are you doing these things when you claim you're disabled?
What happens in the family context? Let's assume you have a spouse that's on Social Security disability. Is there a family maximum? How do families work with one another?
So an individual who does file for disability is potentially also eligible to have benefits for their family. There is a maximum. That maximum is dependent upon the formula that Social Security uses to determine the household size, how many people are in the household, if they have a spouse, how many kids, and so forth. And there's not a specific answer to that other than just we'll have to speak to the Social Security Administration about coming up with that formula.
And have you seen trends in this area of the law now that you've been doing this for a while? Are the number of claims being filed increasing? Are they decreasing? You think they're relatively the same as where they were when you started?
They certainly are not decreasing. Okay. If anything, they're staying steady, and they might even be increasing a little bit.
And what do you see most often? Like, give me an example of what's the most common form of disability somebody has that will qualify them under the Social Security Administration for disability benefits?
So what I generally see are workers who are in their late 40s or early 50s who've just been doing manual labor or hard jobs, or just developed these knee or back problems or some sort of joint related issues or pains in their shoulders or backs or arms or legs or knees, that they just can't do it anymore. They just don't have the ability to be able to go in and day out and keep lifting the kind of weight and things that they've been lifting for so many years.
You know, and it's unfortunate, but that's part of society. I mean, there are some people that have not put themselves in a position to be able to go out and get jobs that don't require that type of thing. And so those laborers who have busted it their whole life are able to look to the payments that they paid in a lot of times to protect themselves, to make sure that they're compensated for and their families are protected. It's a really political issue and a really complicated issue, but there's a process that's used, and it's why you get guys like Alex involved to at least lead, guide, and direct you through the process to say, hey, I think you can qualify versus I don't think you can. You may not need me now. Why don't you try and go do this on your own? I mean, those are all issues that matter, and you know, families need guys like Alex to be able to work their way through to make sure they're protected.
Just about 3 minutes remaining, but I'm just curious, Alex, of the cases, maybe even a case example of you of where it really was kind of a heartbreaking situation, but due to things that you couldn't control or they couldn't control, or maybe timeliness or whatever, you weren't able to help them, you know, kind of out of this situation. Any case examples of something like that?
So unfortunately, there are situations where someone comes to me, they've been turned down for benefits. They don't know kind of the timeline that they're on. They said they applied, they're not sure what's going on with it. I say, please send me your paperwork, and I see that the paperwork was filed, they were denied, but it passed that 60-day period of time. And that 60-day period of time, there's really no exceptions for the most part. There might be some sort of good cause reason you can try and make that case, but normally it doesn't work, and you have to start all over again. And all those months and all maybe years that you've waited are gone, and you have to start over.
Can't get those back. All right, just a couple of minutes remaining. Want to get a final thought from both of you, and Alex, if you would please, sir, you go first.
So if you're going to apply for disability benefits, it's important that you don't wait. You don't hesitate. You just do it, and you put yourself out there with a claim so that you give yourself a chance. Because if you don't have a chance, especially if you're not working, and you don't have to wait 12 months. You should file as soon as possible. As soon as you come to the determination that you're not going to be able to go back to work anytime soon, you absolutely should file.
You know, and what I would say is that this is a complicated process. I hear even lawyers sometimes say, you can try this on your own. If you're successful, great. The process has a means to compensate lawyers that doesn't negatively impact the individual all that much, and so it's really worth your time and effort, at least to go get some advice from a Social Security disability lawyer. A lot of those lawyers will give you some free advice initially to kind of lead, guide, and direct you through the process. Trying to do it on your own, cold, I just think is a really tough process when you got guys like Alex that can advise you and help you. So get to someone, no matter who you get to them early.
Good advice. Alex,
good job.
Thanks for the time, sir.
Thank you, man. Thanks
good
for
to see you
having me
once
on.
again, and always good to see you. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll look for you next time. Until then, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time right here on The Attorneys.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.